This one has a lot of hair. This one has a normal amount of hair. It's Pat and Alex. This one was born in Raytown. This one lives in Raytown. They opened a store in the pandemic, and this is a show about it. Hustle and bustle, hustle and bustle, hustle and bustle. Here is the show.
Hello and welcome back to Hustle and Bustle. I'm Pat.
I'm Alex.
Man, we missed a week.
Yeah.
We had a nice streak though. What do you figure it was?
That was had to be at least 2 months.
Yeah, that's a nice little streak.
Maybe more than that.
But we're back. We're back.
Back in action, baby.
You spent a little time down in Alabama.
That's right. Let's see. What was the? Not Greenbow. That's Forrest Gump. I keep wanting to say Greenbow.
Forrest.
Gadsden, Alabama.
No one's gonna know that.
No, it's like a.
Raise your hand if you know Gadsden, Alabama. Oh, none.
It's it's like the Ozarks but smaller. It's like a dammed river, so there's a cool little lake.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, we went kayaking. I'd never been kayaking before.
Yeah,
that's way better than canoeing.
How many Walmarts? Like, how big is this town?
No Walmarts. Lots of Dollar Generals.
Okay.
And it's weird. Like, there's tons of back roads and country roads, but there's houses on all of them. Mm-hmm. They're just super fucking spaced out.
Okay.
It's weird. So like everywhere you go, it's like someone took a neighborhood or a subdivision and expanded it by 100.
I love that.
It's interesting. Yeah. I really didn't hate it down there.
Yeah.
So yeah, they've their in-laws live there. They've got some property up on a mountain with chickens and horses and stuff. So we got to check that out. That was cool.
Okay.
And then we went.
Did you ride a horse?
Nope. He's super old. I might kill him. He's like,
okay.
it was the oldest horse I've ever seen.
All right.
And then went kayaking. They've got like a pool above ground, classic Alabama in the backyard, but it's like a decked, so it
Sounds
feels like
summer
it's on ground. Yeah. It's we call it cousin camp.
Yeah.
Where once a year, usually during the summer, all of us, there's like 12 cousins on my mom's side, all aged between now, I think 11 and 18. So densely populated.
You're not in that.
I'm not in that. Yeah, I'm the outlier. And then so is Aiden. But the rest of them are all within that age group. And so we all like get together usually once a year during the summer, and we just like do camp activities. It was cheesy at first, but now I appreciate it more.
Yeah.
Because they're all getting older, so like I can do activities with them. Like we played volleyball, and I got my ass whooped for like 2 hours, which never happens before. Usually,
yeah, I'm
just like dominating them. So it's cool.
Playing games is fun,
dude.
Right? Like it spices up every occasion. Like
yeah.
I've had some family. Like you get a holiday backed up by a birthday, backed up by another family thing. You see each other a whole bunch of times in a row, and you end up doing the exact same thing. You eat, you stare, have the same conversations. Games spice it up, but I also think there's like more magic dust on top of that. Like especially like fun athletic games. Like I played wiffle ball. I went over to McMurray's for the 4th of July.
Nice.
We played wiffle ball. We played volleyball. Like. It's just fun to act like a kid and play with kids.
Yeah. It is not just playing games, but making up games.
Yeah.
Like, we just have like a deck of cards and a ball, and you give them 30 minutes, and we've got a full-fledged game going on. It's cool.
Go. That's awesome.
It's a good time to just be a kid.
Well, I'm glad you had a good time. There was a bunch of people having a good time in Kansas City this week at the Taylor Swift concerts.
Yeah.
Back-to-back nights, sold-out shows.
I don't get it.
What don't you get?
I understand like super fandom, but I don't get it behind her.
She's one of the best entertainers of all time. She's definitely the best of her. She's the Madonna of her generation.
You think so?
Yep. Who else is? Give me somebody else. Who's the iconic pop star of Taylor's generation?
And she's gone like the long haul.
What do you mean?
I was
she's like 33, dude.
Yeah, but she's been doing it for a while.
Yeah, like since she was like 16 or something.
Yeah, that's a long time to be like...
Yeah, almost 20 years in the spotlight. So let's go like Madonna was 80s, and then now Madonna's kind of a mutant, right?
Yeah.
She looks a little weird. She acts a little weird. So maybe 30 years is about the cap. Is there a cap of decades you can be in the spotlight and not be weird? Did you see what happened with Britney Spears?
No, I know something happened.
Yeah, so Victor Wembanyama is a 7'3", number 1 overall draft pick. Supposed to be the best prospect since LeBron James. Probably better than LeBron James.
7 foot, goddamn.
7'3" from France.
7'3".
Yeah. And they do the NBA Summer League in Las Vegas. Brittany she used to have a residency in Vegas. I don't know if she performs anymore. I would assume not. She's kind of crazy now.
Yeah.
And anyway, there's video came out. She went up to Victor and went to touch his shoulder and got snatched up by one of his security guards, like slapped away.
Oh shit.
And it kind of made headlines and was a little crazy until the video came out, and it kind of looks like he shoves Brittany's hand into Brittany's own face and made Brittany hit herself. You know what I mean? It's all pretty just harmless.
Yeah.
But that was just a funny, weird wrinkle in the universe when that was happening. But she also came to light in the early 2000s. It's now 2023. And I say she would be what you would call abnormal behavior for longer than a decade now, probably.
Yeah, that's true. But she's got special. I mean, she hit it younger. Like, she was a star super young, wasn't she?
Right.
Like, I mean, I don't know when Taylor Swift.
You seem to be hinting at something with Taylor Swift, and I'm just wondering if you have.
Oh, I just don't like. I get that she should be famous and she's a great performer, but like the height that she's at seems outrageous to me.
Yeah, just not your type. You don't think she's that great.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, that's probably is my bias.
Yeah.
But like, so Caroline and I were talking, and she saw her when she was opening for some country singer.
Oh, really?
Way back when she was like a country musician.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah, and
Well,
like
when she was an opening act, is even longer than that.
So it just made me think like, damn, she's been doing this, like, she's been grinding for a minute.
Yep. Do you know who Jason Aldean is?
No.
He's a country star, big trumper. Well, anyway, he played in my college town when I was in college.
Oh, yeah?
And just like a shitty little bar. And then he got huge. It's kind of cool. I didn't go, but could have. That's fun to think about. But there are a lot of Taylor Swift people down at the River Market. A lot of T-Swifties. There were people lined up a day before.
For the merch, which that makes sense to me.
Camping overnight.
If I'm looking at the popularity of this shit, it's either a huge bubble or a great time to invest. Because, like, these people are just going to get older and nostalgic, too.
I could have beaten up a bunch of teenage girls yesterday at the River Market.
You got to deal with the dads, though.
Stolen the T-shirts and saved them in 20 years and then be rich.
This did better for local businesses, I heard, than the draft.
I saw that too. Now, obviously, they want to do a big spin. The mayor is a big spin machine, I've come to notice, because he, it looks like there's a streetcar that he wants, and they want to maybe, I guess there's been construction in a certain part of Maine, and it's been shut down for a long time.
Yeah, for like ever.
A couple years, and it's going to be shut down for a couple more years. And he's proposing that let's just keep it shut down and make it just for streetcars.
Really?
Yeah. Just on his Twitter, floating it out. But I feel like when he floats something like that, that's not just him having a thought bubble and needing to get it out. Yeah, he's got something he's brewing. But what were you just talking about before that? The local, because they got roasted for the local businesses that got scorched over the draft.
Yeah.
Because of how that was like wild how calculated that was.
True. I mean, it's the NFL. Like, they're their own country within America.
But didn't it take you by surprise that they did that? Like, you were immediately like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I get it. But didn't it take you by surprise that they basically created a walled city inside downtown?
Yeah. And I didn't go, so I didn't get to experience it at all. It definitely wasn't as I imagined it. But then as soon as I think about it,
I think it took most people by surprise. But so I think they were eager for a win, and they got a win because Taylor Swift people were everywhere. They were at the River Market. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, nice.
We even had some people park in our parking lot. So.
Oh, true. I didn't even think about that. Right?
They were Jen's friends, but. And fun story, actually. Matt Potchad, our vending machine guy in Val, he's a big cyclist. So he brought his daughter down here and pedaled up to the because they weren't even letting cars. You couldn't tailgate if you didn't have a ticket.
Wow,
you were in the parking lot if you.
That's
didn't
true
have a
for Chiefs games.
No, it's not. Absolutely not. They added a rule a couple years ago where they kick you out. You can't stay in the parking lot once the game starts.
Yeah, okay.
But you can get into the parking lot without a ticket.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But anyways, so they were keeping pretty tight security. So Matt pedaled his daughter up, who I don't know how old she is, but I guess he sent me a picture and she was like freaking out, excited that she was like outside the stadium on the bike path.
Crazy.
Yeah. So anyways, that's Taylor Swift. Also, did you see Mahomes' house
Yeah.
went viral?
It's
How do you feel about the fact that it was even on the internet?
I mean, I'm surprised it took this long. Like, this is the first time we've seen it. It clearly looks finished.
Yeah.
So it's been there for a while. I putting your logo on the field is cool. It seems a little tacky to me, but it makes sense. Besides that, I think it's dope as shit. I get it.
Dude, you got to put your logo on the field.
Maybe, yeah, I suppose. Maybe I just don't like
Everyone
his logo.
does it. Like MTV Cribs growing up, everybody had their logo on
Yeah,
their
that's
court,
fair.
on their field, whatever it was.
That's fair. And I would do the same now that I think. I'm just hating.
Yeah, you are.
I'm just hating.
My hate is for the fact that it's on the internet and that like it got shared. I think that sucks.
Oh, it sucks.
Like
but
Mahomes is with their old house, their fucking address got leaked within no time, and then this one, their fucking an aerial view of their house gets leaked. Now this is like also interesting because it's a drone, obviously. So any 13-year-old boy with a fucking access to a drone could have taken this photo. Like,
Yeah.
it could have been one of a million people in Kansas City.
That's just. I
It's
think
just the future of where we're going. Like
you just have
where
to
you're just-
swallow that pill.
Yeah, like your backyard is not private anymore because drones could fucking be there. That's weird.
I mean, we had the same the same conversation was had when people started recording with this. Like, if you think about it,
Yeah, but
how
look
many
how-
square feet of your world is being recorded at any moment?
I remember we were at a restaurant, and I can't remember which one of my buddies did it. And I may have brought this up already in this podcast because I've told the story a million times in my life. But this was back when cell phones were still like on flip cameras.
Mm-hmm.
Or cameras were still on
Flip phones
flip phones. And
and flip cameras.
yeah, and all of the above. And we're at a restaurant, and I don't know if it was a hot waitress or she looked familiar or something. One of my friends snapped a picture of her, and it was like this really loud noise,
shit.
And she's like, "Excuse me, did you just take a picture of me?" And like, my buddy we just frozen and paralyzed. She's like, "No, did you just take a picture of me?" And like, obviously, she has every right to be
Yeah.
pissed and violated, but now I feel like that's more acceptable. Like people it's okay. Like people pull up and record everywhere. I do it when I do like our content.
Yeah.
I see myself sitting there getting B-roll in a restaurant and people look at me like I'm fucking an idiot.
Yeah. It's a hard thing to do. I don't enjoy doing it.
No, it's weird, but it's more acceptable. So like, I guess I would say if we're all more comfortable with the cameras being out all the time and being filmed now than we were 20 years
Now,
ago or 15
but-
years ago, well, couldn't the same be true with drones? Like
The house is unique because like there was also like the precedent of what is private. Like if someone snaps a photo and you're in your house through the window, is that now illegal? Like is that different than a public space? But so like I don't like it.
Yeah, I think
the
it's
more
icky.
about
I think it sucks. But regardless, like I guess ultimately, I want Patrick and Brittany to be here and be a part of our community for a long, long time. And I want them if you're that rich, you can literally go anywhere in the world, and they do in the off season. It appears.
Yeah, they've been traveling.
So something in Kansas City has to be amazing, and I like the idea of it being that they can just be normal-ish human beings here.
Someone needs to make like a drone Air Force security service, and you just like patrol someone's house, and like if you see another drone, you have like lasers or some type of something, and you just take them out.
Okay, I just jogged my memory on something I was listening to on the way in on a podcast, but apparently this exists, and it's true that I'm taking it to believe it's true that governments have, and the technology exists for lasers that are like hyper focused lasers and somehow condense the power that they could in a battlefield hit those lasers and all the soldiers within a certain distance would be permanently blinded. And multiple governments have it, but there's like treaties where like everyone's agreeing to not use it.
Well, you've seen the
Imagine if you let people have that as home security, if that got onto Amazon or Alibaba, people would buy that as home security and not even care that their neighbors got blinded.
they're in deployment now are ones that take out missiles. They're like missile defense systems that use lasers to shoot down incoming missiles.
I'm now envisioning Ring doorbell will have missile projectiles
You've seen the drone
attachments.
Ring? There's a flying Ring camera.
Shut the fuck up.
No, you can set a predetermined course in or outside your house, and it will fly around.
No,
and
that's not
video record
okay.
it.
No.
that wild? And then
no. Well, you don't
yesterday-
get to have your own private Air Force.
Yesterday, NASA is leasing their humanoid robot to an energy company in Australia to trial it working on like non-manned oil pumps like off seas. And it looks like a human. It's got like 4 fingers.
So
3
we're
fingers in
renting
it.
our robot to Australia? What is it?
Well, they're gonna have it like perform tasks like on the oil rig, and in return, like all that data will be captured and sent to NASA, so they make it better. But the robots are quickly entering everyday life.
It's weird. I could use one though. I need a personal assistant. So if you know of an AI app, that's got to be one of the.
What's that movie with Robin Williams? The Centennial Man.
Is that what it is essentially?
It's like a company, Google, figures out the AI or the robot butler, and they become, everyone buys them. And
I need to be able to say, Siri, put this on my calendar. This is happening this date and time, and then it reminds me multiple times.
Well, they have that already.
How do you do that?
I think you just say that, and it
my
does
phone?
it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, not on my Apple phone 8. Oh, which announcement? Big announcement. I'm leaving the Appleverse.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah, I went to T-Mobile and Verizon yesterday. It was kind of weird. Like 2 different cultural.
Oh yeah. I've
Corporate
never been in a
cultures.
Verizon store.
You never been in one?
No, just T-Mobile.
They're like, I don't know why everything's more expensive there, but it is.
They're significantly more expensive.
Yeah, that's what I've come to learn. So I'm happy to be moving over to T-Mobile. But I'm also leaving the iPhone Cult, which is what I believe it to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, like, I'm a little scared that, like, I'm wrong. But the only difference is the blue text versus the green text.
I'm sure if we sat down and thought about it, there's way more differences.
But, like, not the only superiority.
Yeah, the just messaging in general, iPhone and Apple have it down way better. Because
Messaging.
Yeah.
So, like, text messages get fucked up on Android?
They're just better on iPhone. It's easier to see when people read them and send them, and
That's creepy. I don't want people to know when I've read it or seen it. That's stupid. That shouldn't exist.
And like liking messages is easier on. Sometimes it doesn't work on Android, depending on who you're. Like sometimes it'll be like whenever you like a message of mine, it is a separate text message that says Pat liked, and then the message,
because it doesn't just have.
So yeah, there's little things like that I'm sure I don't even know about.
Emojis, so like my emojis probably won't translate now.
Yeah, there'll be different emojis. I don't know, but I love Android. I've used it my whole life. I think it's dope. I've never been. I don't like the way Apple corrals you into their ecosystem.
The Colt.
The Colt.
It's a Colt.
Yeah.
But the guy at T-Mobile made me feel good about it, even though he was also trying to sell me an iPhone. Right, he was dealing both. But ultimately, I'm switching because of content, because I want an SD card port and I want cheaper storage, like having 128 gigabytes at the same price as 64, or a fraction of the price of 64 with Apple.
See, that's one of the. I don't like a company that purposely does that.
Like throttles down the storage when they could easily
to
not.
make a profit.
Yeah.
It just makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So welcome.
Yeah, I'm there. It's going to be weird. I don't know. I'm nervous. Hussle got arrested.
Yeah.
He's been on the run since March.
For quite a while, yeah.
So that's
impressive.
That's a nice feat. That's 4 months, essentially. He, for those of you who don't know, he was the Chiefs fan who robbed banks. And
in the wolf mask.
Well, I don't think he actually robbed the banks in the wolf mask.
What? Are you sure?
Yeah, that was a meme. That wasn't real. He, but he did do it. It does look like he did it on the way to and from Chiefs games and out-of-state places.
Okay.
So, which is also fantastic. Great movie, I would think.
Yeah.
Right?
What a life. Like, instead of just like scalping tickets, you just scalp the whole.
So they connected him. They arrested him. The FBI arrested him for one bank robbery in Iowa. But they connect him to like 6 other ones. And apparently he used casinos to like wash his money. He had a lot of poker chips, like up to $1 million in poker chips that he'd be cashing in and out at a given time. But yeah, they caught him in Sacramento and he's been on the run for several months. Isn't that crazy? What do you think life's like out on the lam? You got like $1 million in your bag.
Yeah.
You're just running.
If I had $1 million,
and you know that like you can never wear a wolf costume because then people will know who you are.
Yeah, that's it immediately. I'd think because
so you're already eliminating options.
If you got $1 million, dude, you won. Go north or south.
Just get out of the country.
Yeah, like things are cheaper south, way cheaper, and you can still rob banks down there. I'm sure.
Yeah,
just retire. I don't know. I wouldn't stay in the U.S. though.
Yep. Well, go Chiefs. I'm glad they got him, I suppose. That seems fun. You had something in here about, Casey Tunnel. All right. So I was just reading this. I don't know how I tripped upon it. But did you know that there used to be a tunnel underground that connected the West Bottoms to downtown Kansas City?
Where? How? Why?
I guess it was before there were cars and stuff. Or they were so widespread, cars weren't personal
So that massive
items.
bridge
I guess they
there?
capped it in like 1925 or something. But it was used so much. It was used to connect like the financial district and the of downtown to the agricultural district of the West Bottoms. Because the West Bottoms was like stockyards.
Yeah. I see. If you don't have that bridge there, I don't know how you get up there.
Right. I guess there was a fucking tunnel. They even built a second one to improve on the first one. It was used so much. But I want it back. I wanted to open that. I guess it's still there. They just have capped it off. Right? Like they should open that up.
Yeah.
Right? Like what are the possibilities of an underground bazaar or just a tour or
Just a walking path.
oh, that'd be cool.
Like if it's just, like connected, I don't know. Like that would just be neat.
But you didn't watch The Last of Us, did you?
No.
In it, they go through Kansas City, right? And they're trying to get through, and they access a tunnel. And I wonder if it's actually referencing this historical tunnel. Because in the time when that happened, I was like, this isn't real. What the fuck are they talking about? An underground tunnel? Kansas City doesn't have that. But it turns out it does. I think that's
I
fascinating.
want to do some, looky-uppies on that. That sounds cool.
Yeah. So,
Free the tunnel.
yeah. Last thing. You said you want to talk about a circus elephant metaphor.
Yeah. So I heard I've looked it up, so I don't know who actually came up with it. I've just heard it on a podcast. I want to find the original source. But it is this circus elephant metaphor. So I didn't know this, but baby elephants in like the elephant entertainment industry, whether like you're those ones in Circus or an elephant tour or something, they train them when they're really young, and to corral them, because you can't keep an elephant like in a fence. It's got to be a strong fence. They just put a stake in the ground and tie a rope to it. Now it's a huge stake, and so the baby elephant can't pull that stake out. But then as the elephant grows and gets bigger and older, they don't change the stake out or any other like ways to secure the elephant. So by the time it's an adult, it's still tied to the same rope and stake in the ground, but it could, if it wanted to, just pull the stake out of the ground and go on its way and live its life. But because it was indoctrinated as it was a baby, it still thinks that this stake is immovable because I couldn't move it as a young elephant, so I can't move it now. Like it must just be attached to the ground, and I got to stay within the confines of where this rope can take me. So this metaphor is that most Americans, most people, if not all people, are, but I would specifically Americans, are circus elephants. We're indoctrinated with these silly like ideas and morals and just life pathways as we're kids, and at any moment in time we could break free from it, but we just choose not to. And we allow just the systems that we live in America to kind of poke us around with a stick like a man in a top hat would in the circus, and we perform tricks and just do as he says. But if we wanted to, we could just like trample him and then tear down the whole tent and then leave. But anyway, so like that was a terrible explanation, but it felt like a perfect example of how I feel. Like Caroline and I were talking, we've been dating for a while, and so we were talking about marriage and all of these little things like in a wedding that we don't really want to do, but like you just for some reason have to do because there's a weird tradition behind it. Like that's super specific, but they're like the traditional American pathway of success is everyone goes to grade school, goes to high school, graduates, and then gets a college education or trade skill. And then you work, you get married, buy a house, have a family, and then retire at a certain point, and then you die. And it's just becoming a ridiculous way to live, I think. And like you don't have to do it.
What's the better order of operations? What's the better way?
Like the idea of working your whole life and then retiring is just outrageous to me. Like I've never grown up with anybody whose dad was around long enough to enjoy like their kid's life, or if they were, then like they didn't have enough money to put them in good positions or like buy the things that they needed. So like either you're not around long enough, or you are around but you don't have the money to help your family thrive, and then you just at some point, I don't know, I'm kind of going on a ramble here, but like I don't feel like people ever reach their max potential because they're just paraded around like a circus elephant. And like circus elephants can do so much more than just like work for someone, save up for retirement, raise a family, and then die. That's probably good for a lot of people, I suppose.
I don't know. I think that there are people that's an incredibly fulfilling life for. And it sounds like that's not one that sounds great to you.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't judge it. And I also think like you'll change. Like what you think is awesome now and what you want and value now will change over time.
Maybe.
It will. And definitely. I mean, hasn't it? Look backwards. Look backwards 5 years in your life. Look backwards 10 years in your life. What did you value 5 years ago?
Yeah, but I think
now?
I think 5 years ago I was a circus elephant. Like I didn't know that you could start a business. I had no idea. Like it wasn't even something I understood. And like
Right.
the only financial education I'd received was Dave Ramsey. So like don't get a credit card, save, and like don't invest in yourself at all.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you know, like count your pennies and shit like that. Like put your money in somebody else's pocket.
But what don't you know now that you'll know in 10 years? It's impossible to know that, but there's a fuck ton.
Yeah, agreed. But like I think like I'm realizing now that like most of the people in my immediate vicinity are still circus elephants. Like I'm watching my parents now who are about to become empty nesters, and I don't know, like they have immense opportunity. So they both have full-time jobs. They're both skilled in some, like my mom ran her own business and was a daycare provider. My dad is a great salesman and is very process oriented. They both have great skills, and I've been practicing them for like 20, 30 years because they're in their 50s. And they sold their house, so they've got a nice chunk of change in their savings account. But they have no idea what to do with it. It's genuinely interesting. Watch them have like this immense amount of opportunity, but they're like on these rails of what's like something I can like invest in. I don't know. It's just they're circus elephants. They don't know how to like take their own skills and abilities and resources, of which they have a good amount of, and like apply it to something big.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know why I'm defensive of these people that you're referring to as circus elephants.
Yeah.
But I am a little bit. I just think that maybe you should just have some empathy for the unknown would be my suggestion. But I also agree that like you're right. Like the analogy is spot on that like a lot of times we are beholden to shit and ways of thinking and like patterns of what life is supposed to be or look like that we can change, you know, and whether it's diet, like maybe there's an analogy that was swimming in my head while you were talking, and like Jen and I have been struggling with weight lately, right? So we've both been gaining weight, and we want to change some patterns and behaviors, and like for me, what it boils down to, and I just had this epiphany, is it's like dopamine. Like where are we getting our dopamine? And we've been getting it from like cheap shit, like eating and drinking and consuming and celebrating and doing, you know, like instead of exercising and walking and doing gratifying, meaningful work or gardening or whatever the hell, taking care of things that we should be taking care of.
Yeah.
Right. And if we were getting our dopamine from healthier things, we would be healthier. So like, that's what drives eating, and at least for us, from my observation, that's what drives our weight gain, right?
Yeah.
So everyone focuses on what you eat and what exercise you do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it boils down to if you were getting your dopamine from exercise more than you're getting it for being excited what goes in your mouth or the effects that come from what goes into your body, that on the balance, you're going to lose weight.
Yeah.
So, right? Like, I think that's, if you look at it that way, that's so I don't know if you reverse engineer that to,
So like
I'm trying to express empathy for your parents. Say that for 20 years of their life, being the parent to you and your 3 siblings was a large part of their identity and drove a lot of their decisions.
100%.
And that put them in a large category of human beings over a long swath of time, and who all kind of fell into a pattern and a process of how to raise kids responsibly and healthily and in a good way.
Yeah.
Which makes them look like they're these elephants on a rope because they're doing the same thing that everybody else has done forever. And now that they are no longer driven by the same why, they've got to relearn how to operate in the world. And I don't know, I just have some empathy for that elephant.
I do. And there's a whole parenting aspect that I'm underestimating.
Right.
But like there's certain things like a car breaking down in their 20s stress them out about as much as a car breaking down in their 50s.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the circus.
Yeah.
And like the fact that
one thing that blows my mind, and I have noticed, and I'm just dovetailing off of that. I don't know if this is a selfish thought or whatever, but like I'm poor and I've been poorer. And I feel like when I have existential problems that cause me stress and pull my hair out, they're different than when Jen's friends who have like way different lifestyles than we do call and are just as stressed out as me. But like their problem, I listen to their problem and I'm like angry that it's a problem in their head.
Yeah.
It's fascinating how anxiety scales even when it, like, I can justify a lot of my anxiety because I feel like it comes from like existential, like health and human need.
Yeah.
But even when all those things are covered, the anxiety doesn't just right size itself. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's like shit inside you got to deal with.
Yeah.
But then like there's real world like bills, food, and happiness. Like those can be solved. And then there's the other part that I think that you can address once you've got the freedom and energy to do it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've never met any of these people, and I don't want to be judgmental, but to a large extent, I would argue that they're probably in some ways circus elephants.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
I don't know. I'm a circus elephant in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But
well, you're not now. I mean, look, if you did a before and after of us when we started this business into now.
Yeah.
Like, I guess maybe me too. I don't know. Like I was so obese for so long that I couldn't have dressed in a certain way. And like, there's only so many haircuts that I wouldn't have looked weird in, you know what I mean? Like, but I feel like coming into gnarly and looking and developing a look or having a different personality aesthetically was something I did and fell into that I needed to do anyways, because my body had melted.
Yeah.
But yours is starkly different.
But okay, with you and Jen, like the circus is, consume what's in the grocery store on commercials and the social media that are available to download on your phone. To break out of the circus, you have to be like, what am I actually feeding myself instead of what is the system feeding me? And, how do I construct a life that is independent of the circus?
Right.
Like you have to recognize that, like, like all of this is scientifically designed to control you. Like people spend
100%.
billions of dollars on it. Yeah.
100%.
And so, but like, there's like little tiny things all about us that, I don't know. There's just, it goes into
some real into the wild vibes. Like you're mad at societal constructs at the moment.
Kind of. I felt this way for a while, but this I think most accurately describes how I feel. Like I don't feel like as a kid I was treated like the elephant I am. I felt like a circus trick, of this is the education you should receive so you can do these things and follow this path. And just independent journeys and dreams were never instructed. Like no one teaches that stuff.
I would argue that is generational. This just clicked to me the other day, right? Like, so, there's like, I'm trying to remember the exact analogy that I heard in a podcast, but it was basically human beings get fearful when we can't see now, right? Maybe this was, I can't remember what the exact analogy was, but basically a fear and anxiety that human beings have now is a holdover from when we needed it. Oh, it was, this is exactly what it was. It was not being enough. It was Rainn Wilson and Bill Maher talking. Okay, and Rainn Wilson has a book out now about like spirituality and it helping with happiness and human suffering and this, that, and the other. And he was explaining how he was never enough, and like he was.
I think I saw this clip.
When he was on The Office. He was miserable because he felt like he should have been a movie star, and he should have been when he was like on one of the greatest television shows of all time, for which he now has this immense amount of gratitude. When he was in the heat of it, he couldn't enjoy it because he was always thinking of doing something for greater. Yeah. And then him and Bill both agreed that there's like what's the term that archaeological or a evolutionary, an evolutionary kind of explanation for this. Yeah. And it's that never being like thinking this is never enough, like helped us like build shelter to where like we couldn't be eaten by bears, and it helped us like control fire so that we could like there was a lot of reasons for it to exist. But we're no longer living in the savannah and can be eaten by lions. We're now living in a world where like never enough could drive you to suicide or an early death through stress or just a life of fucking despair and depression. And that seems to be going on the up and up and up and up.
Yeah.
Right. So I would argue that even, I mean, if you look at, it's funny that we're talking about this all coming full circle in this weird podcast, but like and I'm pulling this out of my ass. I think it was 1925 they shut this tunnel down. That's not even quite 100 years ago. So 100 years ago, people didn't have personal cars. The best way to get from the West Bottoms to downtown Kansas City was to go through a fucking underground tunnel, probably by wagon or by walking. Yeah. So that means that why did we have Polish neighborhoods? Because Polish immigrants would come over and they would work in one industry, and then the industry in that town would be in one area, and then in order to walk to work, you had in order to go there. Yeah. Strawberry Hill was like Slavic because those people all worked in the Strawberry Hill or down in the Fairfax district across the river, and Strawberry Hill was the most convenient way to walk down and get work. So like that drove. This is going to be just struggle to bring this all full circle, but the work world has changed so much in just the last 100 years that what you did for a living wasn't dictated just by who your parents were and what tax bracket they were brought in and what education they could buy you, like mine was. Yeah. Or yours was affected by. It was affected by where you lived, like was based on what your parents did, and then everyone who lived around you was in the same tax bracket because they all worked at the same fucking factory and they might all be from the same old country. Yeah, yeah. Right? So like this concept that there's a real sense of urgency for you to cash in on and like fit what's the best pathway to the like improving your lot in life and having financial security so that you too, Alex, can procreate as a human being, which is the weird intrinsic thing that we as animals probably have to come to grips with, that we as human animals are on this earth to procreate and propagate our species, just like every other animal on earth. Yeah. And so your family innately has it in their bodies to want you to be successful in doing that and to have grandkids and provide for them. So there are models that have been provided for the generation before you that this is the best way to do that. And so they want you to do that. Just like the before them generations wanted to do that. Just so happens you live in a really weird transformational time, and that model may not necessarily even be the best pathway any longer.
Yeah, so that's a huge part of it. I had this conversation with my grandma. We were talking about just like all of the social issues that make the news now, which is like all of the news seem to be like social, cultural issues. Yeah. And like we were talking, so like she grew up on a farm. Like her parents, their day-to-day thought process was like, how do I keep the farm running and how do I feed the 12 fucking kids I have? Right. And then like they did that and then they died. Maybe in retirement, you know, there's the retirement.
So they didn't have time to worry about whether their kid was being indoctrinated through the fucking...
And so like they, to an extent, I was telling her like, you guys did it. You succeeded. You have a generation who can sit down and think all day, how do I get to be happy? Right. No one in history has ever like had so much time to sit down and think and dedicate that much time and energy to that. Now we can. But like, I want to live a similar life, honestly, as her grandparents. But like in our system, You can't. Like, your daily focus can't just be what... Well, I mean, it can, but you can do more now. Like, I want my daily focus to, like, wake up. How can I worry about my family and, like, my neighbors and my own, like, family business, and then go to bed? Like, that would be my optimal, like, pie in the sky.
I think
beautiful.
that's the portrait that I think I'm chasing as well.
Yes. And, like, I want to expand that a little bit to, like, my city. Like, I want influence and agency over the
Sure, who
decisions my
doesn't
city
want to
makes.
just make whatever poker game you're playing a little bit cooler?
Yeah. So, but like now within the circus, like we're all born into, that is significantly harder. It's not the default. Like that's how cities existed in 1925. But like it's no longer like you have to perform these circus acts in order to like provide for yourself and health insurance and pay for your car and pay for your home, which is like 100 times more expensive than it was.
What do you mean? You think that that's new? I would think that it's even less true. Like, I think there's more people elephants walking off of the pole now
Yes.
than ever before.
Yeah, agreed. But like, yeah, I would say that like Gen Z is definitely kind of swinging that way. But like, I don't know if, yeah.
Look, I don't know how I want to live. I am learning things. If you'd have asked me 5 years ago, my answers would be entirely different. And that's why I suggest that yours will change.
I guess, okay, so when we visited the Ozarks a couple of weeks, there was this place, I think I talked about it, but I'll reiterate it. This place called Encore.
Mm-hmm.
All it was it was a motel this dude bought, and then he built around it a huge bar, a huge music venue, a bridal, like a wedding event place, so you can have a wedding there, a huge like pool and spa. It's just like a little vacation area at the Ozarks. And like I was sitting there talking to Caroline. No one knows who the fuck that person is,
Right.
but this is a legitimate compound. But have you ever met him? Would you, if you had never walked to this place and known about it, would you even know that this man could even exist?
Yeah.
There are thousands of those people like walking around.
Yeah.
Like that, I didn't know you could do that,
yeah.
Like I did, but it's not even.
It's because it's hard. It's really hard.
I think starting from zero, it's hard, but that's because everyone we grew up like started from not that.
Yeah.
But like that should be not like you don't have to have a fucking compound, but like just the freedom to kind of do what you want outside of what you have to.
To paint a picture that you could think of on your own instead of, take a paint by numbers that someone gives you and fill it in.
Like when I have a new obsession, billboards. How much does it cost to purchase a billboard? Not rent it, but purchase a pillar and two-sided, billboard. That's what I want. And then I want to just like have the freedom to say what I want to millions of people.
Yeah, I love that.
And people can't take it down.
Yeah.
And like you can do that.
Yeah.
You can just purchase something.
Have you ever seen Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri? It's a phenomenal film. I suggest it. Woody Harrelson, incredible. And someone does just that. It's the core of the story.
Yeah. Like whenever I see something that I disagree with, I want to have the ability to not just disagree with it, but do something about it.
Well, I don't know what that is. If you had a therapist, they might be trying to figure that out with you. But there's something in you that is driving that.
That seems like that. Why isn't it the natural default? Because I don't think it was for me, but now it kind of is. But like, why?
To have your opinion heard on everything?
No, to just like want to, like when I was a kid, I'd be like, "Mom, I'm hungry," and she goes, "Here's an apple," and I'm like, "I don't want an apple." And she goes, "Well, you're not hungry, you're bored." Like, well, I'm not actually hungry, but when I am actually hungry, I'd eat the apple. Like a lot of people, like want to be hungry. They want to care about stuff. They want to like have the ability to make change or like help your neighbor, but they don't actually want to.
People are different, dude. Like, you gotta look at dogs. You go to a dog park and there's fucking Chihuahuas. There's Great Danes. They all have different, they're all different. Sometimes Chihuahuas, they have a general way that they act, and that's generally different than a Great Dane. But sometimes Great Dane, one will have a personality of a Chihuahua, and some Chihuahua will have the personality of a Great Dane. And human beings, if there's that many different types of dogs that you see...
I'll use that metaphor. I think all of those specific dogs are created by a circus system, and if they were to look back at like what dogs of their ancestors were doing, they'd probably be a lot happier. Like some of those dogs don't even. I don't know. I
don't know. I have no idea. You're right.
I saw a pug boxer breed, and there's just no way, like that would exist outside of some fabricated system.
No, that could potentially exist.
Maybe.
Get
eaten
I don't
real
know.
quick.
Yeah, I'm sure that that's knowable scientifically right now. How likely that would have happened without human interaction or interference. My point is that people are different. People's values are different. There are people like within our pack. I can think of somebody who's entirely different. His values are not the same as ours. And like, if somebody just wants to live as much quality time with their friends and family and live life as light on their toes as possible, and the trade-off for that is that I go to a meaningless work that means nothing to me and doesn't passionate me, and so for those fucking 8 hours a day I just have to be shut down and just to get by on the small conversations. Like, I went to Trader Joe's and I went to fucking Aldi yesterday. I went to more stores yesterday than I've been to in 2 months combined.
Okay.
You go to Trader Joe's, there are fucking 400 employees working in a restaurant that's the exact same size as Aldi, maybe even half the size. They're all happy. They're all talking to each other. They're talking to customers. You go to Aldi, there's 3 of them. They're not talking to anyone. They're trying, the guy over here, now that they have self-checkout, the one guy at the aisle where he can check you out, he's like trying not to make eye contact because he's hoping everyone will go to self-checkout. Right? Like, different work environments. Okay. They're the same job. I would much rather work at Trader Joe's. But there are people who would rather, like, they're like, who's to say that our lives are any better or more noble because we're swinging for something big than the guy who works at Quick Trip gets to turn his mind off when he goes to work and turn it back on when he goes home and doesn't have to worry about work the second that he's not there. Why is our life more noble than his?
Now that's, I want to be careful because I do go down that path. I don't want to be more noble than him. But if I'm having a conversation and then, like, you know, that day Roe v. Wade is overturned and they have opinions about it, I don't care about them because...
Even if they vote? Because this...
Well, I mean, if you, like, the bare minimum you should be doing is vote.
Right.
But, like, if the conversation isn't happening, like, what activism you're doing about whichever opinion you have, like...
Yeah.
Then, I don't know, like, those people exist that can be
leader,
happy.
Man. You're a natural born leader, and you're not like everybody else, and that's true. Like, look, you got to wear that.
Yeah.
You're the captain of a national championship rugby team.
Like, but I think too many people are the other way. Like, to have opinions about strong things that are, like, it's a turbulent time. History is being made every day. What weird, crazy shit happens every day. We're in wild times.
Yeah, we are.
And, like, I just think it's a little bit unnoble to, like, witness all of that. And I guess it's not. You can sit back and watch it. There's nothing wrong with that.
I think this has philosophically been fought out for years. I just, I don't know.
I'll keep
at the end of the day, all politics are local and everything happens local.
Yeah.
And, like, if you even distill that even further and just worry about you and your neighbors, because I have dear friends, one of whom was in this building today, who could give a fuck less about national politics or regional politics or state politics or local politics, but, like, cares deeply about his friends and family and about his neighbors and about his community.
And he's, I think, an idol for what I'm saying.
And
he
affects change within it and does a lot of those things. But, like
he's doing things that I didn't think were possible 5 years ago.
Right.
But, like, now as like I'm witnessing an adult, like, do those things. I'm like, oh, like, what?
Right. So he's,
how did he know how to do that? My parents wouldn't have known how to do that 5 years ago.
And I would argue that discipline comes with freedom. And maybe I'm stealing a way to add, to interject something. But, like, in order to walk off of one pole and go off on one leash, you might need to be tied to other ones. Right? Like, this one person we're talking about who's doing cool things that you admire, you don't admire his work life. And you would not have gone through what he had to do for the first 10 years of it to get through where he is now.
Yeah.
Which is part of the equation. So there's a trade-off to fucking everything, man. Like, you don't get, so, people choose the trade-offs they get. And sometimes, everybody play your own fucking game. Keep your own side of the street clean. And, I don't know. Like,
it doesn't have to be, like, stop working for somebody and, like, be an entrepreneur. But, like, within your own business, you should love it. And if you don't, like, find another company to work for.
That's how I ended up here. I couldn't exist because I wanted to affect change all the time.
Yeah.
I found it unacceptable when we're like, all right, this thing is unacceptable. What should we do about it? Nothing? Then we're accepting it. that fucking loop over and over again, I couldn't continue to do. And that's just one example of loops I couldn't continue to do.
But sure, there's companies
But that's
out there
because
where you
I'm
could-
a fucking hummingbird in a shoebox in that fucking environment.
Yeah.
And this environment, I'm out here and I love the freedom. I also don't like, there's all sorts of negative sides of this environment that hurt me too.
There's many.
Yes. So it's a trade-off. And I had a really good environment once and I took it for granted. And I was just young and fucking naive and stupid. And I feel like that about this too. That when I'm boo-hooing myself in self-pity in this moment, the best medicine is gratitude, to fucking zoom out, look back, and look around a little bit, be like, okay, look forward. If not this, then what?
Yeah.
Then what? Okay, there's a whole new bag of depression waiting for you.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
Yeah, I do that sometimes too with benefit trust. I think about like where I was,
yeah.
where you could be.
Yeah. Anyways.
I'll refine that thought. It meant to be about me. Didn't mean to make it about other people, but I'll get.
No, it was a
It's
fun.
on the-
It was
yeah.
a fun little tripper journey. I have no idea how it's going to be perceived by anybody out there, but good news is, like 12 people watch this podcast.
Yeah.
So we're good. We're trying really hard to get this thing done to where we spin and we get a topic and we create a reel. Now we still owe you a ties reel, or did we deliver the ties reel?
No, I have an idea, so you got to come up with one.
You have an idea?
Yeah, for myself.
We both have to come up with
Yeah.
one.
and then
That's the fucking
and then,
game.
Yeah, then we both post it. And
Oh
then-
boy. Okay. Well, we got to start new. We're going to start new because
Okay,
I
start
can't.
new.
I'm not starting in the red here. All right. So this is what the deal is. So we're both. This is going to category. We're going to spin the wheel. We're going to get a topic. We both have to use that topic to create a reel in the next week before the next podcast, and we'll somehow determine a winner.
Yeah, I think views, but maybe likes or something.
Okay. Here we go. My turn to spin.
Wait,
Spin.
hold on. We
Wait.
gotta-
What did I do?
Record it.
Oh. That was just for fun. I didn't even see the result, which is good. Now I see it. Oh, it's ties again.
Okay, spin for real. Here we go.
Here we go. Ties, 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 ties.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, TikTok dance. This is perfect.
Okay, cool.
All right, TikTok dance it is. So this is going to be easy, weird, and I'm guessing entertaining.
Entertaining for somebody.
All right. Well, wait. This is the last. I'm going to shove it in now.
Okay.
Should have put it on the front end, but announcements. We have some big announcements. We are changing a few things with a few of our events. So get this in your ear hole. Gnarly Market, August 13th. That's our next one. Second Saturday in August is going to be from 12 to 3. So we'll be doing it from 12 to 3. We're going to condense it 1 hour down. The Chiefs also have me playing that day from 12 to 3. It's a preseason opener. We're going to be doing our preseason Chiefs drop. So we've been hoarding Chiefs shit all year and waiting for the right time to show it to you. We're going to bring it out this time. We're going to be recruiting vendors that are doing the same thing in the vintagey world, or anybody that has a Chiefs vending stuff. So it'll be a Chiefs heavy Gnarly Market. We're going to do it from 12 to 3 on Saturday, August 13th. And we're going to do a tailgate preseason opener potluck from 2 to 5. So the same day, 2 events, same place, same time-ish, overlapping. 12 to 3, we were going to have bands and vendors August 13th out in the parking lot. And from 2 to 5 that day, we're going to have a potluck, bring something to eat, bring something to drink. We're going to play games, tailgate games, while we finish up the potluck, finish up the Gnarly Market, listen to some bands. We're going to do the same thing in September, Saturday 16th. All right, so that's a little bit of a change. It's the third Saturday instead of the second. Saturday, September 16th from 3 to 6 is going to be the Gnarly Market. An adult recess is the theme for the potluck from 5 to 8. And then in October, in lieu of doing a second Saturday at Gnarly Market, we've got Gnarly Halloween with 10 bands in the parking lot. Kind of an inverse.
Yeah.
We usually do 3 bands and 10 vendors. This time it's going to be 10 bands and maybe 3 vendors at the Gnarly Halloween, October 21st from 4 to 11. So I just needed to get that in your ear hole. Those are our events coming up. Don't fucking miss them.
Don't forget it.
Cool. All right, that's it. Talk to you later.
Peace. I'm going to piss my pants.
Sorry.